Hello there, it's the Dude from Dude Recaps, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at the 2016 American romantic comedy drama film titled My Blind Brother. The plot of this film is based on an overachieving blind man and his unaccomplished brother competing for the same woman. Now that's a recipe for disaster, isn't it? The movie begins with two brothers, Robbie and Bill, running in a 26-mile marathon. If it isn't clear by the looks on their faces, Bill doesn't want any part of this marathon, but he's only here to support, or could we say guide, his brother Robbie. After 4 hours and 50 minutes, the brothers reach the end line. But despite both of them competing in the marathon, it's Robbie who gets all the congratulations and glory, while Bill is kind of ignored by everyone. Well, Robbie completing the marathon while being blind is a feat on its own, but you have to feel for Bill, who didn't want to run, but still did for his brother. Bill has always lived in the shadow of his overachieving brother, Robbie, an arrogant athlete and a local celebrity. Although Bill is the reason for Robbie's success, he's never appreciated for his efforts and hard work. On the other hand, Robbie devotes much of his time competing in endurance sports to raise money for charities that support the disabled. On completing the race, Robbie is awarded a check from the Out of Sight Foundation. In his winning speech, Robbie thanks his parents and God for helping and supporting him throughout, but he clearly forgets the one person who was guiding and running with him throughout the long marathon. Bill has been long-suffering, and after years of thanklessly helping Robbie achieve one goal after another, he indulges himself in smoking a substance which isn't advertiser-friendly. But since his friend is also blind like Robbie, lighting Snoop Dogg's favorite herb is a hard task in itself. On the way back home, Robbie's mother appreciates him for winning the marathon while Bill quietly sits at the back seat. Robbie tells his parents that he isn't done with just the marathon and plans on swimming for the next fundraiser. Hearing this, Bill gets confused and reminds Robbie that they planned earlier that this would be his last fundraiser. But Robbie still wants to raise funds for the blind kids. He tells Bill he won't have to get in the water with him, he can just guide him from a boat. At the dining table, Robbie tells Bill that he needs to be in a good physical state to help him with his swimming fundraiser. It hasn't even been a day since the marathon, and Robbie already wants Bill to get prepared. Tired of all this, Bill heads out to get some beer and a much needed alone time. At the pub, Bill sees a picture of a guy who was hit by a bus and died. He then meets a beautiful girl named Rose. She is bawling her eyes out as she thinks she is the reason for that man's death. She tells Bill that the dead man was her boyfriend, and they had got into an argument after which they broke up. The devastated man couldn't take it and later stepped in front of a bus and took his own life. Both of them engage in a heart-to-heart conversation, and Rose thanks Bill for making her feel better. After having a little bit too much to drink, Bill takes Rose over to his house, and then their late-night hangout ends into a hookup. Bill finds a connection with the charming Rose, and thinks that his life can finally have some reason. The next morning, Rose wakes in a self-loathing hangover and tells Bill that she had too much to drink last night and that Bill isn't really her type. She further tells Bill that she's got some atoning to do before she can seriously consider starting a new relationship. Bill, devastated to quickly lose the first cute girl to show an interest in him in ages, curls up in his bed. And that's a mood. Just then, Robbie comes into his room, and upon finding out that his brother was rejected, Robbie tries to console him. He tells his brother that he can do much better than a girl who sleeps with a random guy she met at a bar. Life goes back to the way it was before. Bill living in Robbie's shadow, Bill continues helping his brother achieve his dreams, while Robbie shows not even some gratitude in response. One day, Robbie tells Bill that he met a girl who was volunteering to help him in training. Bill is really happy to hear this, as he'll no longer have to do something which he doesn't want to. He happily lays down on the couch and takes some much-needed rest. But who's the volunteer that's going to help Robbie? Turns out the girl who wants to help Robbie is none other than Bill's one-night love affair, Rose. Actually, after blaming herself for the death of her ex-boyfriend, Rose had vowed to be a better person and help the less fortunate. And helping Robbie is her way of trying to stick to it. But weirdly enough, Rose ends up doing more than just helping Robbie, as you'll find out right about now. While having coffee together, Robbie misjudges the situation and engages in an awkward kiss with Rose, who immediately lets him know that she wasn't hitting on him and she isn't into him. Hearing this, Robbie's face is all gloomy. So Rose, in an effort to become a good person, kisses him back, and this begins their new relationship. One day, Robbie takes Bill along with him so that he can truthfully tell Robbie if Rose is hot or not. The revelation unfolds in a torturously awkward fashion, and Robbie and Rose leave for a walk, while Bill lets it sin that he was rejected by a girl who is now dating his blind brother. That night, Robbie repeatedly asks Bill if Rose is hot enough, and Bill keeps dodging his question. Next, we see Rose telling her friend about the crazy mess that she got herself into. The next day, at Robbie's training, Bill finds Rose near the pool, and the two engage in a formal conversation. Just then, Robbie arrives and jumps into the pool to start his training. While Robbie is swimming, Bill asks Rose whether she has feelings for Robbie or not. They get into an argument, and between all this, Bill forgets to guide Robbie about the stopping line, and poor Robbie ends up injuring himself. Next, we see Bill and Rose in the waiting room of a hospital. Bill's parents also arrive there. Robbie comes out of the room after getting the treatment. The injury isn't anything serious, and Bill apologizes to his brother for taking his eyes off him for a moment. Robbie is arrogant, proud, and unkind, and he manipulates Rose through their relationship, using her guilt and insecurities to force commitment out of her. He's not a two-dimensional monster, it's just that his competitive streak and need for attention stem from his feelings of inadequacy that he's unable to see. But he's horribly flawed and lacks the modesty to acknowledge it. Now, both Bill and Rose start helping Robbie train in a lake, while they're both on a boat. Rose and Bill are having a lovely chat together, and Bill is really happy. But then Robbie comes to ruin his mood. Feelings of jealousy start to increase in Bill when he thinks that Robbie always gets everything he wants, and he in turn is left with nothing. Bill has had enough, and he's not going to let Robbie take the love of his life. Bill and his friends start to conspire against Robbie. They plan to hire fake goons to irritate Rose so that Bill can come to the rescue and impress her. But things don't go the way they have planned, and instead, Robbie comes out a hero in the situation. That night, Bill along with his friends are smoking the devil's lettuce and crying over his misery. But Bill's pain doesn't stop there, as he and his friend get arrested for what they're currently doing. At the police station, Bill's family come for his bail and he's released. His parents seem quite disappointed by him, but their entire attention is towards Robbie, who has had bad news to break to his brother. Robbie tells Bill that the charity swim is not happening because the Coast Guard isn't willing to let a blind guy into the water. Robbie seems quite upset about the cancellation, but Bill on the other hand looks quite happy. Now, Rose has started spending most of her time at Robbie's place. One day, Bill plans a day with just the two of them. He asks Rose if she can set up a date for him with any of her friends. Rose tells him about her friend Frankie, and so Bill goes to pick her up along with Robbie and Rose. They go to a fancy place for dinner, where Bill and Frankie share a dance while Rose watches them from the side. At the dinner table, Bill keeps impressing Frankie with his flirtatious lines, and Rose watches the two jealously. Just then, Rose's ex-boyfriend's parents bump into them, and she weirdly introduces Robbie to them by saying that he is blind. This infuriates Robbie, and he gets into a heated argument with Rose. Robbie feels bad and gets up to leave, while Rose tries to stop him and apologizes. In an effort to be a nice person and don't make Robbie feel any worse, Rose out of nowhere confesses and says she has feelings for him, and that she's in love with him. Robbie is delighted to hear this, and he stays back for dinner. Meanwhile, Rose runs to the ladies' room to take a quick break. Bill follows Rose to the ladies' room and finds her crying. He tells Rose that it's not okay to be with someone just because you don't want to hurt their feelings. He tells her to decide for herself whom she loves and stay with that person. Afterward, they drop Frankie at her house, and the rest go to Robbie's. At home, Bill is chasing Rose to talk to her, but she keeps dodging him. While Robbie is talking to Rose about suing the Coast Guard, Bill writes a note on the paper confessing his love for Rose and shows it to her. However, Rose refuses to believe him. Robbie senses that he is being ignored and leaves the home angrily to go on a walk. Just after Robbie leaves, Bill and Rose get close to each other and start to make out. But as they are in between their lovemaking session, Robbie intervenes with a plan to somehow do the swim. Both Bill and Rose quickly but quietly put on their clothes. Robbie has realized that he has been really hard on those who have always helped him. He apologizes to Bill for not showing enough gratitude for what he has done for him. And then he states that with such supportive people around him, he can do anything he wants. Bill and Rose start to feel bad for what they were doing a while ago in Robbie's absence. The next morning, the whole family, along with Rose and Frankie, get on a bus to go for the swim held by Out of Sight Foundation. Before the swim, Robbie asks Bill to triple check all the swimming gear. He tells Bill that he doesn't want anything to go wrong today. In an interview before the swim, Robbie tells the media that he has a pretty dependable navigation technique to help him find his way, which is none other than his brother, Bill. Bill seems happy because, for the first time in his life, he's being acknowledged for his efforts. But that's not really the case. Robbie further says that he couldn't have come so far without Bill. It was Bill because of whom he went blind in childhood when they were competing in a driving race. This upsets Bill, and he goes to the restroom. Rose follows him and tells him that they should tell Robbie about their love. They decide that they will tell Robbie everything after the swim. Just then, Robbie arrives there and asks Bill to get ready for the swim. The swim starts, Bill and Rose are on a boat helping Robbie navigate through the lake, and initially the swim goes on smoothly. But in the middle of the swim, Robbie gets confused by other boats' horns and argues with Rose. Just then, he feels thirsty and asks Rose for water. But to his surprise, Bill has forgotten to keep the water bottle in the boat. While finding the water bottle, Bill mistakenly hits the oar on Robbie's face. To help Robbie, Bill tries to pull him into the boat, but Robbie refuses to do so as he believes it's against the rules. Meanwhile, the horn in Rose's hands falls into the water. Robbie seems really frustrated. He tells Bill and Rose that he's aware of the love affair going on between the two, and he calls Bill a sore loser. This infuriates Bill, and he tells Robbie to complete the swim on his own. After their heated argument, Robbie starts to swim on his own, and Bill starts to row the boat the other way around, but Rose calms him down and tells him that they can't leave Robbie alone in the water. They start looking for Robbie, but cannot find him, so they start calling for help. Later, we see Rose and Bill standing on the shore along with his parents, waiting for Robbie. After waiting for a long time, Bill gets back on the boat and goes to find Robbie. After searching for a long time, he finally finds Robbie stuck to a pole. Bill asks him to get on the boat, but he refuses to do so as he's waiting for the Coast Guard. So Bill jumps into the water along with the rope and finally convinces Robbie to get in the boat. Then Bill rows the boat towards the shore. On their way, Robbie says that everyone will consider him a loser because he didn't make it across the lake. So just before they're about to reach the shore, Bill asks him to get off the boat and swim towards the shore so that everyone will think that Robbie made it across himself. Agreeing to his brother's idea, Robbie gets off the boat before starting to swim towards the shore. Robbie thanks Bill for everything that he has done for him so far, but then he also warns Bill to keep it a secret from everyone. Robbie finally reaches the shore and everyone applauds for him. Just then, Bill notices that Rose is missing, so he goes to look for her. Meanwhile, we see that Rose is at her ex-boyfriend's house to meet his parents and see how they're doing. Rose wants to let all of the guilt out of her body, so she plans to reveal the truth on how their son got into an accident after she had broken up with him. But before she could finish the whole story, the parents reveal that their son was actually planning to break up with Rose, as he didn't have any feelings for her. So it turns out Rose's ex-boyfriend was actually so happy after the breakup that he didn't see a car coming at him and died. So Rose was feeling guilty all this time for nothing. Meanwhile, Bill is driving in the city looking for Rose. He finally finds her in the taxi next to him. In the excitement of finding Rose, Bill hits a vehicle in front of him. Later, we see Bill on a hospital bed and Rose is with him. Both of them are now together and they seem quite happy. They're no longer barred by anything and can love each other without any shame or guilt. That's how the movie ends, with Bill ultimately getting the love of his life. And with that, we've come to the end of the video as well. If you're one of the few people who actually watched the video to the end, thank you so much. It really means a lot, and I hope I can get more fun content out for you guys on a more regular basis. Subscribe to the channel for more fun videos, and I'll see you back in our next video. Until then, stay safe and take care.